All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. This is a meeting to consider applications for minor variance and consent that's held under authority of the Planning Act of Ontario. Please keep in mind the intent of our process is to review the proposal that's before us, listen to all the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or any organization. If a request for a deferral is made this evening and the committee grants such a request, the committee, after consultation with the Secretary Treasurer, will set a new hearing date. No further notice will be provided unless there are changes to the application. In order to conduct an effective and efficient hearing, we've adopted the following process. We'll provide the owner or authorized agent an opportunity, if so desired, to briefly explain to us the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise at the hearing. You'll be provided a maximum of 5 minutes for this presentation. You need to state your full name and address for the record, and any submissions to the committee beyond the 5 minutes will be at discretion of this committee. And again, any submissions anything that is used for visual evidence on our desk there will become the property of this committee. All persons attending the hearing who wish to support or oppose the application must also state their full name and address for the record, and you'll be provided a maximum of 5 minutes to make this presentation. And all remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair of the committee, and any submissions beyond the 5 minutes, again, will be at discretion of this committee. If there are several speakers that share the same view, we ask that you elect a spokesperson to represent the group's combined opinion. We want to hear all the evidence, but repeating the same evidence does not help us arrive at a decision quicker. The owner or agent will then be provided further 5 minutes to respond to comments that are made during interested parties' presentations and or answer any questions from the committee members, and any concerns you have with any of the conditions found in the staff report. That will be the owner or agent's opportunity to advise us. The matter then taken to committee for a decision, and that will mark the end of all discussion. Once our committee makes an oral decision, any person desiring a copy must file with our Secretary Treasurer a written notice for the decision. And we provided a green sheet in the back that we ask that you fill out and leave with us. Please note that you must make a written request. This is important in order to be included on the list that is used by the Ontario Municipal Board for the giving of any subsequent notice of any appeal. Written notice of our decision will be mailed not later than 10 days for a minor variance and 15 days for consent to the applicant, the owner and or agent, and any other person who filed a written request for such notice. If you do not agree with our decision, you may appeal this to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the last date to appeal our decision will be noted on the decision itself. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, our Secretary Treasurer will issue a letter notifying the applicant that our decision is final and binding. People attending the committee meeting this evening are to be courteous to and respectful to members of the committee, town staff, and other people in attendance tonight. We also want to remind you that tonight's meeting will be live streamed and available for future viewing on the town's live stream page at oakville.ca/live. And we ask, just for efficiency and so we don't have any interruptions, that we keep our cell phones and pagers in the off or vibrate position, and that includes all members of the committee. Oh, I'm good. All right, so that's how we start our meetings. We have two regrets this evening. Ms. McHale is not here. Mr. Hardcastle. Members, any declaration of any pecuniary interest? All right, seeing none, then we'll see if there's anyone here this evening that wishes to either request a referral or withdraw of an application. Yes?
Good evening. I'm Emma West, partner and land use planner at the firm Bousfields. I'm representing Green Meadows, the first three items on the agenda for 366, 457, and 490 Warminster. Having reviewed the staff report that was released on Friday and seeing some comments from the neighbors, we would like to work with staff to review and amend the plans, and therefore requesting a deferral for those three applications.
Okay. Just before we deal with it, is there anyone here that has an interest in these three applications? CAVA 120-2017 at 366 Warminster, CAVA 121-2017 at 457 Warminster, Drive, and CAVA 122-2017 at Warminster Drive at 490. Okay, there's a show of hands. Quickly, you heard what the comments were from Ms. West, and our committee normally grants the first request for a deferral for the reasons you just heard. Is there anything that you wish to add to it? I mean, our next available hearing date for this, can you confirm, is August 8th? August 8th. Members, do you have any questions before we ask to see if there's a, yes?
Ms. West, just prior to this, I think you probably are aware that when we were doing our site tour, we found that improper notice was done on each one of the sites along that street. And I know that your agent or whatever came back and showed that the sign was up. But my concern here is that maybe the public just hasn't been as aware of this thing, because there is a requirement to not only post the sign, but keep the sign up. So can you explain to me how we're going to ensure that that goes forward in the future?
So just to state that on June 27th, we were asked to put up the signs. We came on the 28th, we put the signs up. We sent in the photos with the email and the form on June 29th to say that we had put them up. It was news to us as well, unfortunately, that the stakes had been removed from two of the signs, and one of the signs was missing, from what I understand. So we came out immediately. We were told that Monday morning. We came Monday afternoon and reinstalled the signs. I've talked to the owner again, and they have talked to their tenants again. We don't know how the signs were removed. Two of them were still face down on the lawn. So why the stakes were removed, I really cannot comment on what happened. So we have talked to our client, who has talked to the tenants to keep an eye on the signs and to let us know, and hopefully they will not be removed again. We don't know if it was vandalism. We don't know what happened. I mean, the stakes weren't there. It's a bit unusual that the stakes would be removed, but the sign would still be there. So we are doing everything that we can to ensure that those signs stay up.
Okay, so you've got a plan in place.
Maybe someone's growing tomatoes.
Maybe.
No, I mean, I don't want to make, I mean, signs are very important, as we know.
Yeah.
And I think your explanation describes that you probably some targeted effort, if I could say that. But you've done your job, and we accept your submission that they were posted on time, and you do the notice of signing. And I guess what we're saying is use additional best efforts to the extent you can. But we also understand if people want the signs down, they'll take them down. But obviously, the word's gotten out, and there's people here that have a concern. And before you leave this evening, we'll ask that you take the names, and these are the people that you likely need to consult. Sorry, Mr.
No, in fact, that's exactly what I was going to say. You've met with a little bit of controversy on each one of the applications. And again, my main concern is that maybe not the entire public actually knew about this thing because of the condition of the signs.
Well,
So I
in
just wanna
addition
make
to
sure
the
they do
signs
know.
that we post on properties, it is mailed out to the immediate neighbors, and it is posted on town's website. So, I mean, I accept, and I think this is not an epidemic that we see around town. I think people respect the fact that signs are up for a reason. So, not much more we can add on that argument, on that point, other than use additional best efforts to the extent you can, and I'm sure word will get around with the residents. So before we officially put this to some sort of resolution, can I ask to see if there's anyone here that likes to add to this discussion about the adjournment? Yes, sir.
Jim Jones, I'm 345 Warminster.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to support what Mr. Charlebois was saying, in that we didn't get a lot of notice. We did notice that the signs went down, and I'm probably the only person representing the objections to 366, which incidentally I did not put in writing, so maybe if you could add that to your concerns.
Oh, yeah, Miss West won't be leaving tonight until she gets her name and address, because she understands the importance of consulting with those that are here that express a concern. Now, sir, you received a mailed notice of this, right? Right, because you're within the circulation area, you're right out, almost across the street?
Diagonally across the
Right, so
street.
you received personal notice in the mail,
Yes, I did.
and I'm sure you communicated to others on the street or in the neighborhood to express your concern?
Well, that was the part I wanted to
Okay.
bring up, in that on the north side or to the right of the house in question, that's been sold and is undoubtedly going to be torn down and built again. The house right across from us is in the process of a year and a half being built, so they're not going to object. And the people right behind them who are going to be impacted the most seem to be away on vacation. We did go over a couple times to try and talk to them, and they're not home. So I have a feeling there is a lot more objection than just me.
And we're not gonna be judging the number show of hands. All we wanted to do tonight is to allow you, since you've taken time off your busy schedule, to come here. And the adjournment request is a surprise to you as it is to us. But we offer the opportunity, and there's a fee involved, Ms. West. I think you know, there's 3 times $1 million, so that should, you know, it's an inconvenience to you, and we just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to express why the matter should not be deferred. But you said this deferral will help you because there may be others that are interested.
It might.
Yeah, so that's good. So it's helpful from that regard. And the earliest date is August 8th? So August 8th, so if anyone, tell your neighbors it's August 8th, there'll be new. It might be August 8th, depending on how quick you get your plans back.
But you will get the new notification stating everything, and then the date when it's going to be the new meeting.
Okay, so we'll get a new letter?
They need to bring everything, deferral fee and drawings, new drawings and all stuff. So once we get everything, we can book the next meeting.
So we're saying tentatively for August 8th, but it's not for sure. So keep on watching your mail, monitor the signs that get posted on the property, and if you have access to the internet, check the signs website, because it's got pretty good information on the applications.
It does that.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay.
So everything's working well.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so, adjournment request, everyone in support? All right. Yes, sir. You're not?
No, I am. I just wanted to add to that request, though, Ms. West, if you can make sure that your client, when you come back here, I would look upon it very favorably if I knew that you had spoken with the public and gone through all that stuff, and that everybody was pretty comfortable about what you were trying to say.
If I may, I was just asking to get their names outside.
Yes.
So I don't disturb them.
Thank you, Ms. West, and thank you everyone who attended here tonight, and we'll see you on the 8th. Yes, sir. You had something to add
Yeah,
on this particular applications?
absolutely.
Okay, don't forget to talk to Ms. West, okay?
Okay, so Mateus Medeiros, I live down.
Sorry, name and address,
Mateus Medeiros at 333 Warminster Drive.
right?
I was definitely a little bit disturbed to see the sign totally removed from the 363 Warminster Drive.
Right?
I appreciate the deferral, and I'd like to know when are we going to have a chance to speak about the details on the property? Because I do have concerns on the 3 properties.
August 8th is our tentative date,
Okay.
but depending on how quick the applicant moves on the application, they need to supply us with a little bit of information and a check before
Okay.
we confirm the August 8th. But I would say 90% chance it's gonna be August 8th, and there's an outside chance it might be a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there also a possibility to get the planner's comment ahead of time for all those 3 properties?
Okay, on that one there, you already have the comments right now,
I
the
don't.
town's comments.
Where are they?
Oh, it's posted on the website.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't know if Ms. Mihavlich can provide you with her email address. She can send it to you personally, but are there comments in the back? Do we have them in the back as well?
No, we don't have, but certainly you can call me and then I can point how you can find all comments. It's actually on the website page for the.
For the for the planners
Here,
of
we
the
won't-
town?
We won't let you do that. I'm gonna give you the comments because we've already read these. I'm gonna come
I
up
do
and give
have
you
an
the
extra-
comments here.
I do have an extra one.
Okay,
They might change,
okay,
but in order to expedite the process, we're here to help.
like
We don't
that.
want you to kill another tree. We have them here.
Thank you. Okay,
How's that?
perfect.
All
And it's
right.
for the 3 properties.
Those are for the 3 properties, yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else wishing to defer or withdraw an application? Defer or withdraw? All right, then we'll proceed to item number 4, which is CABA 124-2017 at 3025 Postville Street. So this is who's here on that one?
This one is Green Ginger Development. Should
Right,
be here.
the owner is the town.
Yes, but.
Is anyone here on CABA 124-2017 at 3025 Postville? Okay, there you are.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Patrick Crosby, 18 Roscommon Crescent, Toronto, Ontario.
And you're here as agent for the town of Oakville.
I'm here on behalf of Green Ginger Development, Inc., who is the agent on behalf of the town.
Okay. So anyone here that have an interest in this application, CABA 124-2017 at 3025 Postville Street? Okay, members, I'm in your hands. How would you wish to proceed? You've done your site visit, you understand the application, you read the staff report. Sir, is any information you wish to add? Our procedural bylaw allows us to dispense of full presentation where it warrants such.
I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have or any clarifications. I have a picture of the structure if someone cares to see it.
Okay, well, it seems like we have enough information to make a decision. Who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, having done my site visit and read the staff report, I note that there's nobody here from the public with any objection or support. I'm going to find that this particular application does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I make a recommendation that it be approved, subject to the condition that the proposed shade structures be constructed in general accordance with the plans dated May 2017 as submitted, and subject further to the condition that this approval will expire within 2 years from the date of this decision if the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
All right, looks like the agent is nodding in the affirmative. Discussion on a recommendation? Seeing none, all those support? No one opposed, sir. The application is being approved.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Application CAVA 125-2017 at 1279 Cambridge Drive. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Evening. Neil McDonald, 308 Winston Road, Oakville.
Okay, is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAVA 125-2017 at 1279 Cambridge Drive? Okay, this is a situation again, sir, where it might warrant no presentation. Members, you wish a presentation? Do you have any questions, any items of interest or clarification? Is there anything you wish to add to the application?
Just if you have any questions.
Okay, it looks like we're going to take this into committee as well. Mr. Charles, are you moving a recommendation? Oh, Mr. Tulowski, I didn't see you. I saw your hand, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll move that this application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I'd note that there's no involvement from the public on this application and that the variance is really for a very small portion of the property and still leaves ample space between the addition and the property to the rear. I would make that subject to development proceeding in general accordance with the drawings provided to the committee and that a building permit issue within 2 years.
Thank you, sir. And those conditions seems to be accepted by the applicant.
Correct.
Discussion recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support with those 2 conditions? Your application is being approved.
Thank you all.
Okay, application CABA 127-2017 at 461 Sandalwood Road. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Yeah, Bassam Grace, unit 1290 Heritage Way, unit number 5.
Okay. Is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application? There's a show of hands, sir. So can you do us a presentation on your application?
Well, I have nothing to add, all the
Well,
information.
explain to us, tell us what you're doing, tell
Well,
us where the changes are happening, and tell us how it meets the four tests, very
Well,
quickly.
yeah, it meets the four tests, this what I received already, but all what I say that it was 41% what is allowed, and we asked for 43%, which is 2% only extra. And we followed all the instructions as per the planning department for all the setbacks required, and that's it. And we submitted for that.
Have any questions of Mr. Grace? Okay, so just don't go too far, have a seat in the front there, there was a show of hand in the back, we'll invite the lady to come down, give us her name and address for the record, and we'll hear what her interest is. Don't go too far. You're just gonna have to come back again, whatever you prefer.
The name is Marlene Fader.
Marlene,
Marlene, yep.
and last name?
Fader, F-A-D-E-R.
Fader, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fader.
And I am next door, 463.
463 Sandalwood, yes.
I would like to know what this 2% variance represents as far as square footage.
Okay, do you have the notice?
Sorry?
Do you have the notice that went out?
Yeah,
Okay, so let me help you.
it just says an increase of
Right,
from
right.
41 to 43.
So do you want to put that on, see where it says place document within square? Can you
Yeah.
put that there? Okay, we're gonna zoom in. Someone's gonna zoom it in for you. There we go. Okay, so I just want to answer your first question. Perfect. See where it says, number one, table 6.4.1, maximum residential floor area?
Correct.
Okay, if you read down in that box, it's got something in brackets. It says lot area is 715.59 times 41%.
Yeah.
So that yields a gross floor area of 293.39 square meters. Okay?
293, what, sorry?
293, it's in the brackets. It's in the brackets,
Okay, yeah, I see.
293.39.
Right.
Now go over to the other variance requested, to the other side.
And increased up to 307.66.
Yes, okay, so the differential between the two, so 7 plus 7 is 14, roughly 14, 15 square meters is what they're looking for in additional gross floor area.
So one has no idea what the total square footage will be?
Well, we'll certainly ask that question, but it looks like they want to go up to 307.66 square meters, which is roughly about 3,150 square feet.
Okay, and then the other question I would
So
like...
hang on, just to simplify things, Mr. Grace, can you come up and just confirm those numbers?
If you want in the square footage, the allowed one is 3,153
Yeah,
square
okay,
foot.
yeah.
What we asked is extra 150 square feet, which is total with 3,311.
How much, sorry?
3,311 square foot,
Okay, so,
which is around 150 square foot extra, that's it.
so they're allowed about 3,150 square feet, and they want to go up to 3,311 square feet. So that's the empirical conversion of the metric numbers. Roughly.
My other question is, how close are they going to come to my lot line?
Okay? Mr. Grace, can you put your plan up and show Ms. Fader? They're not seeking to vary that, so whatever the
So they're
bylaw.
not seeking to come any
They're not
closer?
No,
seeking
no.
to change
As far
that,
as the
whatever
width.
the zoning bylaw says is what they're meeting, but he'll give you the exact number.
Well, here we have the setback, this is your side, right? You are
So why
you are
don't
the
you put
neighbor
it,
on
why
this
don't you
side.
put it on overhead so we can all follow?
Excuse me.
This is normally how we don't hold hearings, but I think we're just in the spirit of information gathering,
yeah,
so
no.
it makes it easier. This is why we recommend people talk to each other before they come to a hearing.
I
So-
didn't know this gentleman. This
Now
is
you
the
do.
first time I-
That's one of the advantages of hearings. You get to learn and discover new people. It's a journey.
Well, here, in this part, I think you're concerned with the.
Show us the
second-
site plan, sir.
The site
Not the floor
sir?
plan, the site plan.
This is the site plan.
Okay, point out to Ms. Vader's house. Ms. Vader's house?
You are here, right, 463?
Okay. And what is your setback on that side?
The setback here is, I have 1.66 meter.
Okay. That's roughly 4 feet?
Around 4 feet, or more than 4 feet, actually.
Okay, and what is requirement in the zoning bylaw?
4 feet.
Okay,
This
so
is
that
more than 4
side
feet.
meets the bylaw requirements. They're not making any changes to the setback there. They comply with the zoning.
And actually, the second floor is more than that, beyond that. It's more
Okay.
than 6 feet or 7 feet.
So it's stepped back a bit?
Yeah, it's a step back.
First floor goes up, and then it
Yes,
steps back?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
how much is a step back? Ms. Fader, is there any other questions while he answers that one?
Can I ask this gentleman?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's around 7.6 feet or 8 feet almost.
So at the ground level for the first floor, it's set back 4 feet, and then at the second floor, it goes back another 7 feet,
Okay,
okay, to the second floor.
So
Okay.
it's too far.
so it's a
from-
two-story
Yeah,
structure?
exactly. You can see here.
And then how far back are you going to go from the front?
From the front,
into the
we
back
are,
to the
it's
garden?
the same thing.
The same side?
From the front, the same thing. We didn't touch in the front. Exactly.
Ms. Fader, is there any other questions you have? Any other concerns you wish to express?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the committee? Sir, is there anything you wish to add?
No, that's all.
Okay, we'll
Thank
take this matter to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation? Mr. Telesky, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to move the application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I'd like to note that the immediately adjacent neighbor expressed some interest in the application, and just to address that with respect, she was concerned about the size, that the variance is for approximately 150 square feet over what's permitted, which I believe
Square
is
meters, yeah.
14 square meters, 150 square
14,
feet,
yeah, sorry.
which I believe is minor. And again, noting that the second floor on the side of the resident who expressed an interest is set back further. And with respect to her concern about the side yard, I think the requirement here is 1.2 meters. Immediately adjacent to her house, it's 1.66 meters, and the neighbor's house is set back 1.85 meters, so a very similar distance. And with all that taken into account, the neighbor's concerns, I believe this, many of those concerns, or all those concerns, are addressed by the application. And again, I'd move approval subject to development proceeding in general accordance with the drawings provided, and the permit issue within 2 years.
Thank you. Any discussion or recommendation? Seeing none. All those in support? Your application's been approved, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll proceed on application CAVA 128-2017 at 1037 Melvin Avenue. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Sean Tousi, S-E-A-N, last name Tousi, T-O-U-S-S-I. The address is 2323 Yonge Street, Unit 503, Toronto.
So you're not the listed agent?
No, I'm the office principal, so,
Oh, all right, okay.
yeah, the
All
office
right.
principal
All right,
at
so-
Mimar Architects, representing the owner today.
Okay, thank you.
We have
So-
some changes to the variances, some eliminations and reduction. With your permission, I can go over them when you see fit.
Let's just handle this a step at a time. Anyone here have an interest in the application? Okay, there we go. You know this is recommended for refusal,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
and you read the staff report?
Yes,
And-
I have.
And have you had a chance to consult with staff? Has anyone seen these changes before?
Yes, I've discussed it with them, and
With who? Who's them?
well, once we receive the comments, we contacted the planning. I'll ask one of my staff are here.
All right, you contacted planning, names are
Yes,
irrelevant.
so so we contact with the planning, and they said their concerns. Most of the items could easily be removed by very little adjustment. However, it wasn't time
Most of the what, sir? I
to.
missed it. Most of?
Most of the variances could be adjusted and eliminated with a very minor adjustment to the either a site plan or the floor plans. So we decided to apply those, but there was not enough time to send a revised notice to the public. So we actually decided to come in today and apply the changes. They will address all the concerns they have. We literally staying with 2 variances, one also be reduced out of those 2.
All right, just so we can have it on the record, and we'll see how we're gonna deal with this. Which of the 5, 6 variances are you eliminating?
So we're eliminating number 1,
Done, okay,
we're eliminating number 2,
okay,
we're eliminating number 3,
okay,
we're eliminating number 6.
okay,
So only number 4 and number 5 stays. Number 5 changes from 30.13% to 27.13.
yeah, it's right here.
Just to summarize, we stay with 2 variances, number 4 and 5.
Right, and
4
number 5,
stays
you're
as it
changing.
is,
Yeah.
and the 5 changes to 27.13.
Okay, so here's our dilemma. No one has seen the plans. At least the gentleman that showed his hand hasn't had a chance to assess it or evaluate. It could be that the concerns are eliminated, and certainly I'm not quite sure planning staff has seen it either. Ms. Mikhailovich, can you, Mikhailovich?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, staff have not been contacted with respect to this proposal, nor have we seen any revisions, or were we informed or alluded to any revisions with respect to this particular application?
Yeah, and normally when you eliminate variances, that's a good sign, and when you reduce them, it's even good as well. But I based on the assessment we have from staff right now, I'm not quite sure whether those changes might be persuasive enough for them to conclude differently. You know, it's very, and we benefit, all of us benefit from, you know, professional assessment, at least on the 4 tests. And it would be unfair to put our planner on her feet to address these in the context of what you're changing. We haven't seen them yet.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, respond, I would see 2 ways. We could request a deferral if you see that fit, and we could actually work with the Committee of Adjustment staff to see if that concerns solves their concerns. The other option could be that I could through very quickly what are the changes and how impacts the design, and at that time you can decide if this is something that you would like to consider today, or you could vote on the deferral.
Really, the call is yours, because we can't prognosticate what our views may be on a revised application. We have our views on the current application. And in fairness, there's a member from the public that hasn't had the chance to fully prepare themselves for, and perhaps your changes are so persuasive that you might come here with a different state of facts. We don't know.
Is it possible to stand down this application so we get a chance to update the neighbor and then
Sure.
come back
Why
at the
don't you
end
do
of
that?
the
That's a good
application?
idea. I'll stand down, we'll deal with the other one, and then we'll just reevaluate where we go after that. I think your suggestion for deferral might be the way to go, but at least there's someone here, and you'll have a chance to tell us whether your changes have been persuasive. But there's a question from Mr. Telowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we stand it down, I want to understand, do you have revised drawings that you
Yes, I
can
have
show
3
us tonight?
sets.
Okay.
I believe not. We had the list of variants that we had a phone conversation with the examiner, and then we went through how we can eliminate them. So it was a phone conversation, and then we contacted the Committee of Adjustment, and they said there's not enough time to revise the notice, so you might as well just want to go there and see if that would work.
Okay. Why don't you go meet with the gentleman? Is there anyone else? See none. Okay, sir, can you raise your hand? Okay. So we'll give you 5 minutes. We'll proceed with the next application. As soon as you come in, we'll try to slot you back in. And we're not going to ask our planner to go out, because she needs to evaluate it in more than 30 seconds, but it might be informative for what I assume to be your neighbor. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll stand down that one, and we'll deal with application CAVA 129-2017 at 38 Belvedere Drive.
Hi there, Derek Blakely, 38 Belvedere Drive, for a new build. I was here in December for a renovation, which we then changed our plans. And so if there's any questions, I can do a minor presentation if there's any other objections in the room.
Well, let's just see. Okay, so anyone here have an interest in application CAVA 129-2017? This is the application at 38 Belvedere Drive. Seeing none, staff are recommending approval, finding that they satisfy the conditions, sir. Do you have any questions, comments, or is a concern? Anything you wish to express to us, sir, beyond what you just said?
No, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, I think we're probably good enough to take this to the committee. Who would like to move our recommendation, members? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, having conducted my site visit, read the report from staff, and note that there's no one here from the public in support or objecting, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this variance, finding that it does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and making it subject to, just bear with me, the proposed dwelling be constructed in accordance with the plans dated May 9th, 2017 as submitted, and further that the condition that the approval will expire 2 years from the date of this decision if the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
All right, discussion on recommendation? See none, all those in support? All right, no one opposed, your application being approved, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Application CAVA 130 of 2017 at 2187 Mariposa Road.
Hi,
Good evening.
I'm Ann Louise Fullerton, and I live at 2187 Mariposa Road.
Okay, thank you very much. Is anyone here that has an interest in application CAVA 130 2017 at 2187 Mariposa Road? Okay. Staff are recommending approval. Staff, members, do you have any questions? Anything you wish to add to the application?
No.
Okay. You probably witnessed our drill so far.
Yes.
Okay. We'll take this matter to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation? Mr. Talowski, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to move the application be approved, finding that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I would note that there's no opposition from the public, as well that the property does not back directly onto any other property. I would make the approval subject to development proceeding in general accordance with the drawings provided to the committee, and that a building permit issue within 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chalowski. Is there a discussion or recommendation? See none, all those in support? No one opposed, your application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, application CAVA 131 2017 at 2247 Grouse Lane. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bhavesh Patel. Address 2247 Grouse Lane, City Oakville.
All right, I think this is the one that is a candidate for a presentation, sir.
Yeah. I have applied for the below grade stairs in the backyard. So the minimum rear setback should be 5.5 meter, and I have 4.42 meters, which is the minor variance of 1.8 meter. Yes, I have read the staff comment.
Okay, you wish to give us any additional information based on those comments that you read?
No, no comments. Yeah. So basically, this project doesn't impact there is no negative impact, and it maintains the general intent of the project. So that's all I wanted to say.
Do not. Okay, thank you for that. Again, is there anyone at the committee tonight has an interest application CAVA 131 2017 at 2247 Grouse Lane? Okay, we'll take this matter to committee. Who would like? Oh, you did? Oh, come on down. I missed it. Just have a seat there, sir, and we'll get back to you.
Good evening, Chair and committee members. My name is Mahendra Patel. I'm the next door neighbor, 2249 Grouse Lane. The letter we received, and like a lot of neighbors have a lot of concerns.
Sorry, a lot of neighbors have concerns?
Yeah, most of the neighbors having a concern about this, what's going on with Mr. Patel here. And
So you're representing more than your interests?
Yes.
So you've been asked by others in the neighborhood to represent their concerns?
Yes.
Can you tell us roughly where they are so we get an idea on the map?
Actually, I'm sorry.
So we have a map.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd just like to know where these other concerns are coming from so we can at least have that in our mind.
Yeah, the other, on the left-hand side is like 2 to 4, 5, and those on the other side of the gully as well.
So how many additional households have told you they have a concern? What's that number?
At least 5, 6.
At least 3, 5, 6?
5, 6 or so.
5, 6.
Yeah.
And they're all within close proximity? They're not like a
Yeah.
kilometer away?
Yeah, within the neighborhood, right.
Okay.
No.
Let us hear your concerns.
Yeah, actually I sent it to
Yes.
Jasmine about my email as well. Some of them is like more likely collective points in there. So if you want me to read, I can read them, but
No, we read it, but just give us the highlights. This is your 5 minutes.
being my neighbor beside me, like I don't like to have somebody walking throughout the night between shared properties. And there are a lot of like a noise, and there was no consent being ever asked for if somebody can, the tenant can share our sidewalk, or I mean the properties in between the two houses. And the other, most other concern was that one of the tenant just crossed beside our garage, right across. And when we backing out, there is no way we can see that person is backing, like walking behind it, beside the garage door. So that's a kind of safety concern as well.
Okay, any questions? Yes.
Sir, how long has this unit been rented, in your opinion?
I think the person, since he moved in, the new gentleman is a new neighbor.
Right.
He moved in, I believe, September. Yeah.
So since September, it's been rented? It just wasn't clear for me in here, like, how long this has been going on.
It's just recent, like
Just recently.
last November. So.
Okay. All right, cool, thanks.
And we have about more than 50% in in the street, the original owners since the houses are built in 2001.
Sir, do you have the specific street addresses of those 5 or 6 others that? I'll tell you why we say this, okay? It's very important for us to establish the context of what the impacts, how far do they go, who's involved. Normally, we need name and addresses. You know, what we do normally have is a petition signed by people so we can have a graphic illustration where they are. And it seems like you may have some information, so why don't you just give us the...
Yeah, we can.
Sir, if I may.
Yeah, let's have your name and address.
Sure, my name is Yashish Patel. I live at 2249 Gross Lane.
Okay, so point out where they are, or take a pen and put a
So we live at 2249. The other concerned neighbor was also living at 2243 Gross Lane. We've also spoken with the homeowners of 2246, 2252, 2254 Gross Lane, and 2240 Gross Lane.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Anything else you wish to add?
Yeah, actually, there's everything put it in the email. I believe.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of Mr. Patel? Yeah, Mr. Talowski.
I've read your comments, and the comments seem to really be objecting to the accessory unit in the house and not the variance that's being requested. So I guess a two-part question. Do you understand that they can legally have the second unit in the house? And recognizing that, do you have any concerns directly towards the variance, which is for the staircase?
Well, he did express one concern on safety for backing up, but Mr. Talowski is right. Is there any, like, never mind the additional unit, because that's permitted. It's like the staircase.
Yeah, the other major concern of the community around us is the falling up house pricing. House price may fall, potential fall, because of the rental unit.
But if that was the case, it would have happened a long time ago when they permitted a second unit for everyone.
This is just the last November thing happened. So
No, I know, but the zoning bylaw allows a second unit for everyone. You can put a second unit in your house too if you can put that staircase in the right location. Okay, we understand your concern. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the committee on CAVA 131, 2017, 2247 Grouse Lane? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, anything you wish to add to the application from what you just heard?
No.
Okay, we'll take this matter to committee. Do you have a question?
Well, and perhaps planning can help me out in here in terms of connecting the dots. And I've received all these objection letters, as you know, just recently, so I was going through it. Otherwise, I probably would have said something earlier. But you refer to this unit as legal, and yet we're looking at a variance. How did this unit get approved as legal, built as legal, and then all of a sudden we need a variance after it's been built? It wasn't clear from the staff report that this had already been built, and when I went out there, I wasn't really looking for that.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the committee, the context of legal is that the variances that are being sought this evening do not relate to the they do not relate to the regulations that deal with accessory dwelling units. So the dwelling unit, as it's been established in the basement, meets the minimum, or rather maximum size requirements. They're able to provide the required parking, and access is provided at the rear in this instance. It could also be oriented to the side of the house if that were provided. In this case, it's rear access stairs that happen to be facilitating an access point for the accessory dwelling. If the basement were finished and they wanted to provide access stairs into their basement, the same variance would be required in that instance as well. So staff have evaluated on that basis that the unit within the structure is legal. There's no deficiencies with respect to its size, how it's being provided, it can function. It is just seeking the relief to allow for the access stairs coming out slightly further into the rear yard.
Is there, I guess what Mr., maybe I'm reading too much into your question, is there a permit process required for a second dwelling unit or a second unit or granny suite or however they?
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Through
in other words, to convert a single detached into 2 units, I'm assuming there's some process.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, and possibly the applicant can respond as well. There is a process that I am aware of that recognizes the establishment of secondary suites within the town through the building permit process as well for the accessory stairs, which require a permit. They've had that evaluated. So through my discussions with the zoning officer, it has been confirmed that it is in fact an accessory dwelling unit and it is in fact legally established.
But I guess, is there a registry system for second suites? Is there, like some municipalities require that there be a formal registration or a permit or something to officially recognize its conversion from a single detached to a 2 unit or a single detached plus a suite? Is there such thing in the town?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm not entirely sure, so I don't want to assume, but I will again defer to the applicant if they have gone through that specific process.
So assuming the staircase could have been provided in a location that complied with zoning, would that still require a building permit?
Yes.
It would. So, because one staircase was not originally provided, one needs to be punctured through, that triggers a permit, and the permit then triggered the variance.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Is there anything you wish to add to that sort of chronology?
Yeah, so when I moved last year in September, the basement was already finished. I don't know which owner has finished, like a first owner or second owner, but it was already ready, and the side entrance was not there. So I have started this project to have a separate entrance. So in future, if I want to rent it out the second dwelling unit, I can have it. So the only mistake I made is I was not aware of the rules and regulations, and I approached the builders and nobody guided me in the right way. They said, this is your personal property, it's your personal backyard, so you don't need any permit, you can just build it. So I just went ahead and built it, and then I involved in this situation, so that I have applied for the permit for the below grade entrance.
Did you get like a stop work order or
Yeah, I do have a stop work order, and so basically there is nothing work going on because there is a permit is going on.
Gotcha.
And now we are at the situation where the zoning comply issue, so I have applied for the minor variance application.
So you bought it with the basement finished, and you continued to finish it, and someone must have viewed the level of construction on the site, and then there was a complaint, the complaint triggered a stop work order
Right.
triggered a permit then triggered a variance?
Right.
And
So
we're here
once
to-
I have the permit, then the officer will review the site and they
Okay.
will see the project, like how it's going.
Mr. Charlevoix, does that answer your question, more or less?
A bunch of it, but I'm still trying to connect the dots, and part of it is I'm trying to address some of the concerns that the public raised, and I thought it was a valid point, but there is a process for approving an accessory dwelling. Not just any house can have it, there has to be certain requirements. So this would have had to have gone through some sort of process. It requires another parking spot, it requires an access, and I would think if I remember correctly, it requires a separate access. So we talk about this thing being legal, and yet I don't know how it was legal because it didn't have a legal set of stairs to access the unit.
Can I? So the basement is not legal, it's not even registered.
So it's not. So that's what's throwing me off in here, because we keep talking about this thing being a legal unit.
So when I moved last year, even I did not have any knowledge that basement supposed to have registered. After I involved in this situation, now I come to know that even if you have a finished basement, which involves plumbing line and electric line, you have to register in the city of whichever
Right.
city you lived in. So in my situation, I have applied for both permit. One for the below grade entrance and one for the legalize the second dwelling unit, so I can legally rent the tenant.
Okay.
So both application is in the process. But it depends on this zoning application. Once this is approved, then it can move on.
So right now,
Yeah.
unbeknownst to you, you have been renting it out to someone, I take it from what the public is telling me, but now you've realized you weren't allowed to do that.
Right.
And you're reacting to this. You're gonna get proper stairs, you're gonna make proper application, you're gonna get it.
Right, and I'm willing to work towards to get
Okay.
comply with whatever city says. I will, whatever it takes, I will follow the steps.
I now understand.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else having an interest in application CAVA 131-2017 at 2247 Gross Lane? Okay, we'll take this matter to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation?
I just need clarification is the address 2246 Gross Lane was also subject to your,
I believe he said it was.
I just want to make sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, having done my site visit and of course read the staff report, but more importantly, listened to the presentations here by the applicant as well as staff and the neighbor who represents a few different neighbors. And I will note in here that there's 4 objection letters that have been delivered to us, which I've read. And I also note too that staff has recommended approval. So I was a bit confused coming into this thing, and I think it's clarified for me now, so I'm just going to repeat it for the record. You purchased this house, the assumption was that you could rent it, so you started to rent it. When it came to your attention that, in fact, you weren't permitted to do it, you received a stop work order. Now you're going through the process to ensure that this unit can be a legal accessory. So on that basis, now that I understand the situation, before I do make my recommendation, I think I would note that there seems to be definitely some concerns from your neighbors with respect to how your tenants move in and out. And I think as a good neighbor and as a good landlord, you should address them both from a safety point of view and just to keep up good relationship. So I'm going to make a recommendation that this application be approved, finding it does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, making it subject to
Well, you need a building permit
Yeah,
for
well,
sure, and
yeah,
2 years.
making it subject to that the proposed stairs be constructed in general accordance with the drawings as submitted, and subject further to the condition that the approval will expire 2 years from the date of this decision if the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
All right, discussion on recommendation? See none, all those in support? No one opposed, the application is being approved. Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, through you to the committee and for the record for the public, the rules around secondary dwelling suites They are permitted in single detached and semi-detached dwellings only. So it is not something that is permitted for all types of dwellings throughout the town.
Right.
And I make that as a statement because there is a mixture of housing types within this particular neighborhood.
Okay,
So
yeah, thank you
single
for that.
detached and semi-detached dwellings only can qualify for secondary dwellings, subject to the zoning regulations that are in the zoning bylaw.
I guess the lesson learned for everyone is ask before you do anything. So, all right, thank you. We'll move on. Just hang on, sir. Who was here for CAVA 100 2017 at 2308 Belia Street? Anyone else? Okay. So we're going to deal with you in a minute. We're going to go back to the other one that we deferred. This is CAVA 128 2017 at 1037 Melvin Avenue. Sir, I see you had a discussion. What happened?
Yes, Mr. Chair. To my understanding, the main concerns of the neighbor, which was the items that we removed, and they seemed happy with the fact that one of the variances also, the ones that was removed also was reduced to the number. I did specifically ask, like, what should I say in terms of your opinion? They said there's a sort of a neither nor, so I leave them to kind of comment on what is their opinion.
Okay, sir, can you just advise us, because we're trying to determine whether we move forward on this application or, and members, I'm gonna ask you to consider that too, just based on what we hear. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, named Doug
Your name and
Hawksworth,
address for the record?
1031 Melvin Avenue. I'm the neighbour.
1031 Melvin?
That's correct. In principle, I agree, support the changes as proposed, conditional that they conform to the town's bylaws and requirements.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So, sir? Members, are you satisfied to proceed on the revised application that eliminates variance 1, 2, 3, and 6 and revises variance 5 downwards to 27.13%, subject, of course, to seeing the plans and all that? Yes, Mr. Charlebois.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that. I mean, one of the concerns I always have is the main tool that we have when we grant a variance is we say it's in accordance with these plans. And you know, you're going to present us plans. We're going to see them for the first time. I'm going to try and give it my best shot. But I also don't have the town looking at it from the point of view of your residential floor area as well as your lot coverage. So I'm just giving you fair warning. Okay.
To you, Mr. Chairman.
So I guess on that basis, we're going to proceed with the revised application. Is that the consensus of the committee? Okay, thank you, sir. Proceed.
To you, Mr. Chairman, responding to Mr. Charles Boyce, if I'm saying it right. I talked with the owner as well outside. They're present here today, and they decided to proceed as well. The way I would proceed, if with your permission, is that I will go through the changes we made that caused the elimination of the variances. They're fairly minor. There's no significant change in the design. So what you have seen and studied is maybe very, very similar to what I'm going to represent, but I'm going to quickly go over so you can see the impact of the eliminated items into the final design, and it refreshes with the idea you have of the drawings.
Okay.
And to be honest, because the changes are minor, I would, as an architect, I've worked about 15 years, I would recommend a deferral, but I think the changes are minor, and at the end we end up with 2% increase, really. That's
Okay.
really what this is about.
You got 2
And
minutes.
we believe is minor. The owner said they would like to proceed, and I would just explain to you our
All right.
understanding of the
You got
project.
2 minutes. All right, 3.
So, thank you. So the item 1 is eliminated by reducing the width of the driveway. So the driveway, we actually reduced it, created a line here, and then the other line. The other line would come here. So why it is not much change. So this used to be all the way at the back, but then we moved it. We moved it actually closer to reduce the width, increase the landscape. We created a step here. That step actually caused the width of the driveway to be reduced from what you see, because this has a step, it doesn't count as a part of the width of a driveway, including the circular part. So that's really didn't impact the look, didn't impact any of the 4 tests. The item, as a result, the item number 2 eliminates because then the definition of a driveway was changed in the square footage. In terms of the item number 3, which is the setback.
Hang on, before you do that, so the bylaw is 9 meters. I see all kinds of different numbers there, but
We are 6.66, so we're less than what the bylaw requires.
the maximum width of the driveway is now 6.66, okay.
Yes. Going into the, what eliminates the number 3, so the bylaw requires to, we had this number less before. So this was actually less than what you see here. I believe it wasn't actually complying with the requirement of the bylaw. Therefore, the bylaw would require this setback to be more than 1.2 meter if the garage doesn't meet. So we really made the garage 10 centimeter deeper, and that made the garage in compliance, thus the elimination of the variance. So again, this does not really impact any of the 4 tests, and we believe, even though from the neighbor points, from somebody from the street or from the massing, again, all of them has had no impacts. The height was very clear. We reduced the height.
Hang on, there's a
You're gonna have
question.
to take me through that, because
Sure.
as I read it here, they seem to be talking about the minimum interior side yard shall be 2.4 meters where there's no garage and 1.2 meters where there is. And what is this now? What is the side yard? Because I don't see it on here.
Well, the side yard is staying 1.2, stays 1.2 meter, but as you see, we don't have any second floor on top, so the portion that relates to the garage is permitted to be 1.2. And then the parts that we are actually getting further setback, it is even more than what the bylaw requires, which is 3.09.
And your variance was to permit a minimum interior side yard of 1.2 meters where the attached private garage does not meet the minimum dimension requirements of 5.2.3. And tell me again what those dimensions are.
So we simply made the garage 10 centimeter deeper, or maybe 15 centimeter. We made it a little bit deeper.
Where did you add that? Where did you add that?
So this is actually the depth. So I believe before, I don't have the drawings that was in committee
that
since I brought the.
5.7
Well, let's say this was 5.6. Now it is 5.7, and brings it to compliance, something to that extent. And then, because that isn't in compliance, that 1-story portion is permitted to get closer to the lot. So I think it would be more clear if we look at the elevation. So this is the 1-story portion of the garage, which gets the permission to be 1.2. And then the 2-story portion is the parts that we are having 3 meter, and the bylaw requires 2.4 meters. So we're even offering more than what the bylaw requires. And it's only for the garage portion. If you look at in the second floor plan, so this 1.2 meter is for this addition for the garage portion. Second floor sits back again. And the same way in the garage plan. So this 1.2 meter is only for the garage portion, which is also permitted.
Okay. And the height, we understand, number 6, you just took it down by
11 centimeter, Mr. Chair.
11 centimeters.
And then we made the houses smaller for the lot coverage to accommodate. It was mostly a typo mistake from my staff. So
Does that not also affect your residential floor area ratio?
well, the original design was larger. So once we did it smaller, we didn't change the site plan. So it was a typo mistake from my office to put 30%.
Oh, no, I know that. Okay, so.
That's why the GFA, the FSI was correct from the beginning.
Oh, the coverage was wrong.
Was wrong, so we fixed that.
So that, you didn't make any changes to the plan on coverage? It's just
No, we did not, yes.
a calculation error?
Yes. So going over really the 4 tests, if there's no question, I can go over the 4 tests very quick.
I don't understand the side yard thing again. Just take me through it. So
Okay, so the
as
side yard.
no, but just bear with me. As I understand it, maybe I'm reading this wrong. I haven't seen it. Sometimes they vary. When you have a garage, you have to have 1.2 meters. On the side that doesn't have a garage, you have to have 2.4 meters. You were talking about some setback at the second floor. I don't know how that applies at all. But you're telling me that because you elongated the garage and made it a little bit longer, I guess you pulled in slightly, but I didn't see any dimensions on there. Like, how can I tell that it's 1.2 meters now in terms of a
Through
setback?
you, Mr. Chairman,
Well, it's right there on the plan.
Yeah. So only the garage portion is permitted to be 1.2, as long as it's
Right.
only the garage, not the second floor above it cannot go 1.2.
Right.
So
And
what
that's
we're
what we do.
missing is, what are the
Okay.
minimum dimension requirements of section 523B? What are those minimum dimension requirements?
For the garage,
Well, no, look at number 3. It says table 6.31, column RL2, row 5. It goes on to say you have 1.2 on one side, only where the attached private garage meeting the minimum dimension requirements of section 523B. What are those minimum section requirements?
I believe for one car is 3
No,
meter.
no, what does that table say? What does that section say? I don't want,
Well, I don't have a table, Mr. Chairman, to read
Mr.
through it.
Halovich, do you
but-
have that? Okay, maybe that's what we're missing here.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I may, the applicant is actually interpreting this particular section incorrectly, so if I
Okay.
can provide some clarity.
Okay, thank you.
Table 6.3.1 are the regulations for the low-density residential uses. And it's for this particular zone, which is RL2-0, there is a footnote that allows for a reduction in the side yard from 2.4 meters down to 1.2 meters on one side where there is an attached private garage meeting the minimum dimensions. So in this particular case, the applicant has proposed a new dwelling that has an attached garage. Therefore, one side is allowed to be 1.2 meters for the entire house, not just the garage.
Right.
And the other side is allowed to be 2.4 meters. The minimum requirements of a garage, as it's noted in the variance, which is section 5.2.3
Right,
B.
right.
Bear with me while I get there.
That's what we're missing. And that's why you elongated it by 10 centimeters.
Usually just 45 square meters, so.
So 5.2.3B states that a motor vehicle parking space dimension shall be a minimum of 5.7 meters in length, and where you have 2 parking spaces within the garage, they're 5.6 meters in width. So in this instance, the application initially was deficient in the depth of providing only what appeared to be about 5.6 meters
Right.
from the original application. So by revising the application, or rather the proposal, to provide 5.7 meters in depth,
He's
they
a
can
private
now
garage.
take advantage of the footnote under the regulations for the residential use that allows for the reduction in the side yard from 2.4 meters down to 1.2 meters, which is why the variance is no longer required.
Well, basically, because it was deficient by 10 centimeters, it was not considered an attached private garage. By making it 5.7, it becomes an attached private garage, and then you qualify for that 1.2 meter side yard setback.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
That's exactly what happened.
I will also add that by increasing the garage size, that did increase the coverage as well. So it is unclear to me, by reviewing the plans, how, again, the additional lot coverage has now been further reduced if the garage area has been increased, even though it's by 0.1 meters.
This is why we don't like to deal with plans on the fly, sir. Because I agree with Ms. Mihailovich. I'm not quite sure. You said it was a calculation error, but now you increased it by 10 centimeters, and the coverage stays, what? Like, I'm not sure what it is. Like, the last thing you want is to go for a building permit and you're finding out that your coverage is wrong. It doesn't accommodate your expansion by 10 centimeters, so you still don't have the advantage of this private garage exemption. It's like playing Russian roulette here.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what we are proposing to, well, the number 27.13 from 30 came up with the exact calculation of the coverage. So it was 30 point, and then now it's 27.13. So that's how we came.
No,
That's
you
the
said
number
that-
we're requesting.
You said 27.13 was a calculation error on the original plans, and you reduced it to reflect that.
No,
but
the 30 was the original 30 in the application was.
30.13, and you said that you took it down to 27.13 because it was an error in your calculation.
Yes, and we believe it is
And then
correct.
what we're asking is whether that error in calculation accommodates the fact that you increased the garage by 10 centimeters.
It did, Mr. Chairman, and should the committee decided to approve the application, we completely understand it is on our shoulder to make sure the design that goes in, if for any reason is bigger than that 27.13, we have to come back here or change the design and make it smaller. We're absolutely aware of that.
No, but, yeah, okay, so you're saying if I have to, I'll chop it off from somewhere else?
Well,
Okay,
I believe it's not necessary, but just answering the
anything
question
else you wish to add?
Well, we believe it meets the 4 tests. So the 4 says it has to meet the intent of the bylaw. It has to be appropriate for the development of the neighborhood. We believe in these 2 cases we meet both of them on all the items. As you would see, what we are proposing in the site plan, and I read it from the planning report that it says the neighborhood consists of both 1- and 2-story dwelling that are both original and new house stocks. So this is a combination of a one story in some sections. So even though we could go all the way to a story with 1.2, we just did a portion of it. So we're actually having a gradual increase. So it makes it a 1 story, 2 story. So we believe it very much meets and combines with what the character of the neighborhood currently is. It is staying as residential single-family home, so we believe it meets the intent of the bylaw.
Okay.
In terms of the in keeping with the character, we believe, even though this is a modern house, but I believe the character of the neighborhood doesn't define by having cookie-cut houses that looks exactly the same. So I think this modern house will help in enriching the neighborhood and what has been built there. And I believe what left really is the question of if these variances are minor. The report that the planning has referred to them as to, I read it to be the intent of the regulation lot coverage is to sense and prevent a dwelling from having a mass and a scale that is out of the character with the surrounding neighborhoods. We believe this does not go out of the character, and the reason is that if you look at the site plan, these dotted lines are the actual existing house. With this dotted line on this side, and this dotted line shows where the existing is, and also on this side, we're even increasing the setback on one side. On the other side, only the garage portion is complying with the bylaw, going slightly wider, and when it reaches to the back is 3 meters, which is even more than the bylaw requires. So when we talk about impacting the math impacts the heights, the widths, the rear yard setback, the building depth, the widths, and on almost all of them, we are more than what the bylaw requires.
Okay.
So we are basically building a smaller house that the bylaw would permits in terms of the setbacks and in terms of the massing. And that's what makes me believe that this is a minor. And in our understanding, a conclusion would be that we believe it meets the 4 tests. We respectfully request for your approval.
Okay, thank you for that summary. Any questions? All right, sorry? Yes. Yes, Ms. Havlish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prior to you taking this matter into committee, I would also like to advise that on the basis of should you make a decision to approve this application this evening based on plans, I will point out that there is a requested variance for height from 9 meters to 9.11 meters. I understand that the applicant has chosen to remove this variance from their application. However, the plans that are being shown before us today and the plans that they have still show 9 meters in height. So I'm not entirely certain where the zoning examiner measured or understood it to be 9.11. The plans still show 9 meters, nothing has changed. So again, something is not correct with the way that the
Sir,
plans are being demonstrated.
This is I totally agree. This is a combination of a lot of errors, and I'm just like getting really uncomfortable with this.
But Mr. Chair, it's not an error. It's 9 meters, and we're asking 9 meters. The 9 meters complies.
But your other plans show 9 meters. That's what we just heard, and these plans show 9 meters.
We made the house shorter for 10
No, but your original plan showed 9 meters too. Your original plan showed 9 meters, and the zoning examiner said it's 9.11. You're saying I'm meeting 9. These plans show exactly what the other plan showed.
Well, it was because the established grade, Mr. Chairman, was measured differently from the examiner.
I don't know the answer to that. We're speculating. This is what happens when we deal with applications on the fly.
But any application could come here, Mr. Chairman, and you would say all the dimensions are wrong. Like you could assume that.
No.
But we are not asking for more heights.
This is the first time. I don't assume that. This is the first time where we've seen these changes, although you're going in the right direction. still present, at least in 2 occasions, challenges as to whether or not you got it right. Okay. Well, we hear you. Thank you for that advisory note. We'll take this. Anything else you wish to add? We'll take this matter to committee. Again, is there anyone here that has an interest in application CAV A 128-2017 at 1037 Melvin Avenue? This is a revised application that eliminates variance 1, 2, 3, and 6 and reduces variance 5 downwards to 2.173% from 30.13%. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Before we proceed, having heard everything in here, I just want to confirm that with you that it's still your desire to proceed with a decision from this committee as opposed to seeking a deferral or something else. Just want to be clear that when you've listened to everything.
We will request for deferral through you, Mr. Chairman, for through you requesting. So if it is possible to receive the first available one, so we get a chance to confirm all the dimensions to make sure that should the committee decides to approve it, they have a peace of mind.
Well, not only that, but I think you need to speak to the planning department because you're
Absolutely.
absent of their comments. You know, this is something we knew about half an hour ago. Okay, the agent's requesting the deferral. All in support? Michael opposes, or you gotta take a position one way or another. I can only. You only ask for those in support. It's true. Okay, so those opposed? Mr. Talaski opposes the adjourn request. This matter will be adjourned.
Thank you.
There is a
The date
deferral.
we should,
There's a deferral fee, and when you get back on the agenda, you're gonna have to speak to the Secretary Treasurer. There'll be new notice.
thank you.
This will be our textbook example why we don't accept applications on the fly in the future. We're gonna be running this reel again and again and again.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, application CAVA 100-2017 at 2308 Belia Street. Good evening, name and address for the record.
Good evening, Carol Todd Skuse, 2308 Valier Street.
Okay, before you proceed, is anyone here that has an interest in application CAVA 100-2017 at 2308 Belia Street? Sir, you're here in support or opposed? Well, if you can come forward and just, we'll have this informal dialogue at the podium, sir. We need your name and address for the record. Did you hear the question?
I believe I did. He asked
And your
if there
answer
was
while
an
he's coming down?
increase. The house is already built. We're not asking for a larger basement, no.
Okay. Sir, your name and address for the record.
My name's Stuart Pegg, S-T-U-A-R-T-P-E-G-G. I own the house at 2303 Sarwin Street, and my address is 373 6th Street, Collingwood.
Okay. Did you hear the answer?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. It's coming up here.
So the house is already built.
Yes.
The basement is set.
Okay.
All it is a request to have the current apartment in the basement fit within the bylaw,
Okay.
accepted by the
Yeah,
bylaw.
I'm fine with that. It was just clarity, that's all it was, yeah.
Perfect. This is why sometimes we have these informal discussions, just to facilitate this kind of understanding. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you. No problem.
I've just got one for you, ma'am. Your application is for a basement of 1,412 square feet, but all your letters to everybody asking them to support you was for 1,200 square feet. Is there, it says, we're aware the proposed minor variance application would seek an acceptance of the existing secondary unit of 1,200 square feet, and yet you've applied for 1,412.
I thought the application was smaller than that, sir. I'm sorry. I think there were 2 applications that went in. The first application was deferred because there was a question about the size of the basement.
Okay.
The basement unit. The basement's still the same size.
Well, I've got 131 square meters, which is definitely more than 1,200, so let me just verify that.
That's correct. It was 131. And I had set the pages before, I guess, and didn't change them.
Do you know how big this basement is?
That was the question, that was the issue,
So
because
1,412 square feet, yeah. I just, my concern on this, it's fantastic that you got support from your neighbors, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. But I'm just wondering why they signed saying, I guess the question that has to go through my mind is, if you'd have put the letter in front of them and said it was 1,400 square feet, would they all have agreed, or would they have not agreed? And I don't know, just from looking at this thing. So I'm just wondering if there was perhaps a mistake where you know it's 1,200, but for some reason you asked for 14, we can make that change right now, or whatever. So I'm just raising it. I don't know, and I don't have an answer for you right now. I just wonder if you can provide some clarity.
what happened is, originally we went in, the planning department said this was the size of the basement, and that's why the time was, it was deferred. I went back and said, I don't think it's that big. I'm quite sure it isn't. So then they asked for new plans to be given, and the new plans showed that it was less space than it had been before. So when I went back in, I had not done the calculations of how much space was. The original I thought was 1,300, I guess.
But
so
I'm just
that's my
yeah, and I'm going to clarify though. I'm sure what the answer is, but just for the record, so planning did evaluate this on the basis of it being 131 square meters, and not. I'm sure you didn't do it under 1,200 square feet, but just for the record.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the committee, planning staff had conversations with the applicant before the application was made on the basis of the plans that you see here today.
Okay.
We were unaware of really what that number was. We assessed the merit of submitting a minor variance application to reflect a secondary unit that would be larger than the maximum of 75 square meters. Through the process of submitting an application, through the zoning evaluation, it's quite likely that those numbers, as it's refined through that process, could potentially be larger than what the applicant initially thought. Again, the way we calculate the floor area, measuring to exterior walls rather than the internal space, whether or not certain common spaces were included or deducted from that calculation would result in that number. So planning staff did evaluate the application on the basis of what you see before you today, at the number of 131.23 square meters, and with respect to the plans that were provided to support that.
Okay.
And our comments are provided in support of that application.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, anyone here have an interest in application CAVA 100 2017 at 2308 Bellius Street? Okay, seeing none. We'll take this matter to committee. Members who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I'll take it. Having conducted my site visit and read the staff report as well as heard from the applicant, I do note that there were several letters of support, and as I mentioned earlier in the discussion, I did raise the point that the application is for 1,400 square feet, but the letters of support are for 1,200. I'm going to move beyond that point and just see that as perhaps a small error, and just arrive at the determination that things probably wouldn't have changed. So I'm going to put forward a recommendation that this variance be accepted, subject to the condition. There's nothing. Yeah, so just subject to the condition that the proposed dwelling. Sorry. No, there's nothing to be constructed here. That's why I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to put forward a recommendation that this variance be accepted, finding it meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act.
Thank you.
Discussion on a recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed, your application is being approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, members, we have minutes of June 27th. Who would like to move a recommendation on that? Yeah, we were all here. Yeah. Mr. Tulowski, accept the minutes of June 27th. All those in support? Okay, and then adjournment? Mr. Tulowski, adjourned? Okay, all in support? Adjourned at 8:25.